Welcome back to another episode of the 4Q podcast. I'm so happy to have you here today. It's been a big bang. I'm coming back and having these episodes again, but I'm so happy to hear from you and to be sharing these experiences with you again, my beautiful audience. So happy to have you here. So let's jump into today's topic. So let's reflect on the topic, the first question of our 4Q podcast, a 4-question podcast, in case you were wondering what the 4Q stands for, 4 questions. So we're going to reflect on this area that I've been wanting to talk about for a while, but I don't want to polarize those without children. But it's helpful to know, I think, going into having kids as well. So it's this area around the weird limbo between having your first child and your last child. Let's talk about it, because it doesn't happen for everyone, mind you, but I found that I certainly experienced some of it, whether I realized it or not. And that's this limbo between when you're having your first baby and you're planning for your first baby and you're having your last child. So let's redefine what I mean by that. So again, for those of you who have followed me, I had a second child now, and I'm done. 2 and done, properly done. Did I say that I'm done yet? But the thing is that I did have a bit of a gap between them, more than other people. So about 4 years between my first and my second child. And it was this weird area of limbo in that I personally went through, and I know other people have gone through, like I said, not everyone, where I didn't fully commit to things because it's almost like, oh, well, I'm going to have another baby at some point, so I don't really want to commit to that. So not fully committed to certain work obligations because you never know when you're going to fall pregnant and how you're going to feel when you're pregnant and all of that. You don't want to sort of overly commit. Work engagements, holiday engagements, also physically, in terms of, I didn't put as much effort into, I think, fitness and getting fit as I thought. And this was sort of, I did not realize I was doing this, because there was almost this feeling of, wow, I'm going to have to do all of this again, try and get fit again once I have another baby, because, you know, there's sort of that saying of it's harder to get fit than stay fit. So I only really wanted to go through that getting fit phase once again. So it was really hard to throw yourself into that, knowing that you were probably going to get pregnant and all of that. So I don't know, there was definitely a weird thing. Same in terms of friendships and sort of this wanting to be free, like some of my other friends without young children are. So I either have 2 types of friends who have children who were older than what I had, and friends who don't have children at all, but they had a lot more freedom than me. And it was like I couldn't commit as much in certain areas with those friendships because I had so much more obligations, and I didn't know what was going to happen if I did fall pregnant and when that was going to happen and what life was going to look like with 2 kids while I was pregnant. Because again, first pregnancy was amazing, felt physically good, was doing all sorts of things up until the 9th month. Last pregnancy was awful, had all the symptoms. So again, in this weird, very strange kind of limbo between the first and the second, and just mentally what kind of space that puts you in, and feeling almost like my life is on hold. Like, people don't talk about when you become a parent, how it can feel like your life is on hold, your body's on hold, your friendships are on hold, your career's on hold. You know, definitely with having young kids, the friends I've bonded with probably the most are the ones also with young kids who are in the trenches with you, because they understand, like, hey, sometimes I have to cancel last minute. Hey, I'm going to be late sometimes because getting out of the door is chaos. Hey, sometimes my sentences don't make sense because I'm so run down and I haven't slept. So constructing sentences or being disorganized or whatever might be part of the issues. So I think it's important to recognize that feeling of I'm in this weird limbo and I'm sacrificing a lot. Feels like I'm putting my personal life on hold at times, putting me on hold for somebody else. So that can be a very strange feeling to have. It can feel lonely. It can feel like you're falling behind or missing out. It has this sense of urgency, like I need to be doing more, working more, figuring things out. And part of that is just this societal push of having to have it all and be it all and do it all, and also not being supported. We just aren't supported, particularly here in Australia, but in the Western world, like collectivist countries are. So again, we've spoken about this on the podcast before, but in other cultures as well. Being mixed race myself, I can speak to this in terms of, the first 3 months after a baby's born. Some cultures, the mum doesn't cook or clean or do anything. Her only job is to take care of the baby because she's got grandparents, aunties, uncles, cousins, all helping with meals and keeping the house clean. And oftentimes a lot of collectivist cultures of the East, people still live together or live close to each other. So it's not sort of unheard of to do that, whereas in Australia that would be such a burden to ask, and such a weakness to ask for help if we need it. It's sort of, we're expected to do everything on our own. So it's hard, and financially, just all the things. Whereas again, in a lot of collectivist cultures, because there isn't much, everybody pulls together, making it easier for everyone. Whereas in individualistic capitalist countries like Australia, there is more of a, we've got to do it on our own, be a battler kind of thing. We've got to, survival of the fittest. So I just think I wanted to do this podcast episode just to acknowledge it and talk about it and, share this experience, because it's something that's come up a lot in counselling. It's come up for me, and I think that I haven't heard people talk about it that much. And so I think it's important that we just put it out there. We just talk about this together and know that if you're feeling that, or you're pregnant and you're sort of going, what are my next few years going to look like? Like, it's beautiful. Don't get me wrong. We all know how beautiful and loving and rewarding being a parent is. But it is this strange feeling, particularly for the female. Yes, males have the same feelings as well. But being the sort of the main provider a lot of the times, not even by choice, just biologically, we are the main provider when they're young. It can feel like, this limbo on my life is happening. So this episode is to all the mums out there who have felt that and have gone, oh my gosh, when does it get back? It comes back. I promise you it comes back. I'm not even there yet. It hasn't come back for me, but it's this weird feeling of I'm no longer in that limbo. I can make plans now because I'm done having kids. I think when you're still going, maybe you're going from your second kid to your third kid, you go, I know I'm still going. It's this weird feeling of, okay, I don't know what the plans are, but I have to plan around this. Whereas now I feel as though I can plan things. I can make, I have some idea of some direction, and I'm starting to get a sense of control back of my own life. And admittedly, it does feel good. So it does come back, but yeah, I think it's important to acknowledge that it doesn't last forever. It's going to be okay. And I wish it didn't feel that way. I think there's things that we could definitely do for women in the workplace, in the personal life, in our communities, that could change that. We really, social policies that could make things so much easier, connecting women with supports, still having career development if you want it, only if you want it, But I think there's so many ways we could support women in families so much better in our culture, in our society, that we just don't offer. And we're doing a lot better in Australia than some of the other countries like the US, that's for sure, in terms of maternity leave and support and all that. But we've got a way to go still. We've replaced family systems, friends, family, community systems that we used to have for government systems and paid systems, and it's not working. It definitely isn't. It's one thing to have maternity leave, but to be at home on your own all day, every day with the baby, that's a lot. It really is a lot. So, and with the kids and, meant to be loving every single moment of it, it's a lot. So, all right, mums, this is my ode to you. I hope you have a wonderful day, a wonderful week, a wonderful month, acknowledging where you're at and sharing this with any mums who you might think will be feeling that way too. Go, just normalise that for them, that it's okay. And you might not feel that way if we lived somewhere else or even in a different time. But it's okay to feel that way, and things will get better. And you do get your life back eventually if you want it. All right, you take care, and thank you for joining me again on 4Q Podcasts. Bye for now.